class, no retreat, no surrender. That's the message of the sender. No BS and no pretender. Staying real with a positive agenda. Yes, push up yourself, elevate top shelf. Keep rising to the top, never fall till you.
Big up, you will
Big
go.
up, big up! Oh, we
You
sound
never let us play
Bulavinaka.
that whole song.
We need to play that whole song. Bulavinaka, Miss MC Trey.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Very well. Good to be here.
Good to be here too. So, Nissan Bulavinaka, everyone, and welcome again to episode 15, number Tinikalima of our digital series coming to you live from Sydney, Australia. And firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the land where I'm coming from, which is the Darug Ayora people here in the Canterbury Bankstown area. Where I'm coming to you live from and paying respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, the lovely MC Trey.
Thank you
Bulavinaka
for the
Trey.
acknowledgement, Fijian Sevu. I love the music that you play. I'm proud to be joining you also from the Darug lands of the Cabrogal clan. So I'm in a different part of Western Sydney and excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes, good to hear. Now, before we continue, just want to welcome everybody who's listening in, and please let us know where you're listening in from. Show us some likes, send some love, some feelings, or whatever, emojis, right? And participate and comment during the conversation that we'll have tonight. And we've decided to move this to a fortnightly um, digital conversation that we were doing weekly for 3 months, Trey. Can you believe it? 3 months. And so now we've decided to do it fortnightly to be able to still fit it in with the other work that we're currently doing. So we're juggling. We've got another show on that we're part of, which is called Oceania 2, which comes on on alternate weeks. So next week will be Oceania 2 on Thursdays, and then we will continue our VeiTalanoa on Mondays. But also to that, we will be having more faces on VeiTalanoa as we connect with diaspora, a lot of different people from different locations all around Australia, also around the world, and of course, right back to Fiji, as we're showing with some of the content we've been sharing, of course, in the last several weeks and so forth. So again, we welcome you, and Bulavinaka Loame, who's coming in from Burwood. I hope you're well, Loame. Nice to see you on here and being part of the conversation tonight. VeiTalanoa. And Trey, how's your week been, by the way? How was your weekend and everything?
My weekend was amazing. You know, it's Monday. It's always so full on, right? From the weekends and getting back into the swing of things.
Yes.
But yeah, so on the weekend, on Friday night, I attended this event in Parramatta. It was called the Global Cities After Dark Initiative. So basically, you know, it's an initiative that brought together government and creatives and planners to talk about how we can, help make Parramatta more of a global city. Yeah, I can hear a bit of an echo.
Where
Can
is
you
that coming in from? Is that, let me just see. Okay, let me just mute myself. Keep talking.
Yeah, so basically with this event, we looked at, there were workshops that were held throughout the week, and I was invited to attend one, you know, as being a creative in Western Sydney. And then on Friday, it brought together all the different stakeholders. And it was very interesting, you know, to hear the discussions on how they're planning to, you know, help build Parramatta as a global city, you know, and increase the nighttime activities, you know, and we see it in the city of Sydney, you know, how things have transformed over the last couple of years. You can go and have something to eat, maybe go and see a show, you know, you can do something with your family, you can do something with your friends. There's things for all different demographics. So very exciting to be in that room and sit in that space. And because we have our event in Parramatta as well, the Fiji Day event, I shared a bit about that. And, it's good to know that we're being invited to sit in these different spaces. And, there was about 4 Pacific people in the room and 2 First Nations people in the room. So I looked around and I thought, change is happening. It's happening slowly, but it's happening. And, we're making our voices heard and known, and not only asking for a seat at the table, but center of the table, and also creating space. We don't want to just be included and invited. We want to actually have a say and be part of, should be able to share our views and to influence the changes, and that it's sustainable, and I met a gentleman who runs all the transport systems, in Parramatta. And so they're talking about safety for women, safety for the different segments of community, you know what I mean, to travel. And then, so it was interesting. And I said, I remember when I was in primary school, because I grew up in Parramatta, I remember being consulted, about the changes in Parramatta when I was a young person. And I felt good to have been asked that. And so many years later, it's great, again, to see things changing. And we're at another stage of consultation for the next stage of Parramatta. And, people are going to be coming to Parramatta. They won't be going into the CBD as much because a lot of the creative institutions and the cultural events are happening in Parramatta. So very exciting stuff, and our people, we're part of that plan. So
fantastic.
I look forward to sharing more of that. So it was good to be out after being, in lockdown for so many months, but then to come out and to be part of meaningful conversations of change. Fantastic. And then, of course, it rained. So I just stayed in and did some planning and writing and, preparing for the next chapter of my life, planning my life too. So that was me.
Now that you're finishing one chapter, right? Finishing one chapter with your studies and so forth. And now getting into the new chapters.
Yes, bring on the chapters. And I actually started writing my book yesterday. I mean, I've been writing this book for a long time, but I actually started typing it because I usually just write bits and pieces on paper. So I started putting it together and I started on the laptop for the first time. Very exciting. Yeah.
That is exciting. And for those who don't know, I just want to congratulate Miss MC Trey for her nomination as youth. What exactly is that called? The Youth Worker? Is it called the Youth Worker of the Year or?
Yes, it was New South Wales Youth Worker Awards, which was on last week, and there were 2 other people from Fiji that were nominated. Wow. Yeah, so JT, who's also part of FYI, he was nominated. And then we also have Moira Tufunga, the Ratuman lady, who's also been a part of FYI.
That is fantastic. Thank you for representing.
And I just, I messaged them both. I'm like, Lisa, the Kaivitis, man, we're up there in the mix. We're doing our thing. So, it's great to look across because, we've usually been the only ones pioneering in spaces. So it's good to look across.
And it's so well deserving. The 3 of you have done amazing work for those that know about the work that they do. And especially you who have been around for such a long time.
For decades. A few years.
For decades.
This
started when you were 5.
Here you go. Look, this publication came out on Friday. So
on Rolling Stone. Okay, let me just narrate this. Are we ready? I'm going to narrate this with my radio voice. A pioneer in the world of hip hop, MC Trey has a legacy that most artists dream of. But more than 25 years since she made a name for herself, Thelma Thomas is still carving out a most admirable legacy.
And look at the title, Life, Love and Legacy, an interview with MC Trey. And
oh my God, what a superstar you are. Did you see that? She was in the Rolling Stone.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
a big deal.
you see that outfit that's designed by Koila. Actually, I'll have to let her know that was in there. And the picture was taken by Miss Tez, who's linked to Fiji as well. So there was about 5 of us women were involved in that article.
So proud of you all. We don't hear enough about it. We don't get seen enough as far as Pacific people and brown people of color participating in these spaces, right? So we need to acknowledge it and support it and get on our megaphones, because this is a big deal being on Rolling Stone. And at times, I don't know what it is with our culture, man. We see people doing well and thriving and striving and taking leaps forward, and I just wish that we would be more supportive of our own people at times.
Yes. And we know that, look, research tells us that oppressed communities are more likely to fight across,
Right.
And then we see it, with a lot of indigenous nations around the world, the lateral violence, and then it also comes to, there are certain things like you notice happier people are more likely to celebrate the wins of others, right? So there are so many layers of things here. So, things are changing though. I find with the younger generation, they're a lot more supportive. They're a lot more friendlier. They're a lot more settled in their identity. We're still a new culture here in Australia. Even though we've been here for decades, we're still learning and finding our way. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, I would add to that as on an individual level, when we become comfortable in who we are and we become whole and therefore secure in our individuality, we will then be comfortable to throw roses at other people and not feel like, we've got to hold back, because that's all insecurity stuff at the base of that. So, I think that's it's great to see you all there. I'll blow the trumpet and sound the,
beat the lolly.
Beat the lolly and just promote that. And we need to be promoting that and encouraging that participation from our people and those who are the forerunners and those who are creating and carving the pathways like yourself. So thank you. And this is about building something for our people in the future that they don't have to go through. Let's do the hard work now so that is there for our future generations, right? For our children.
And let's make it okay to celebrate each other. I celebrate you, Sev.
I celebrate you. Hugs, virtual hugs coming through.
Yay!
Yeah. Any photos from that or not? That was your photo, right? Congratulations on that alone. That's a big deal being on Rolling Stone. And boy, you just look like a Rolling Stone girl. That's a front cover photo right there too, right? Show it to us again.
Miss Tez took that picture, and I really love doing photo shoots with her because, I feel very relaxed, and she really brings out the best. And, my daughter did my hair, and then Miss Tez did my makeup.
The whole team came on, right?
Yeah, I love it. And it was, and it was more of us all just hanging out, having a talanoa, and we better take some photos, Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Well, my weekend was quite interesting too. I broke a tooth during the week that it just chopped it. So I had, for the first time, I was like, no! Had a Batilutu situation. But look, the miracle of
amazing.
The miracle of modern
I love it.
Dentistry. Look. But I got to take care of it because I've got a temporary thing happening here because I got to do some travel. I said to my dentist, I actually were only able to get in an appointment today, and in half an hour he came out with this, right? And I said, look, I'm going to travel internationally. I won't be back till this day. He goes, okay. So we've pre-booked, we've done everything. So when I come back, the permanent work will be done. So it was just Yeah, it was just crazy. But I went out on a cruise on
Saturday?
Saturday. I went out on a cruise on Saturday, and it was who's the group again that ran this? Oh man, my brain's a little bit
Was it
numb.
CMF?
Well, they're part of it. It was World Compassion, right? So it's got CMF working in there and other denominations as well. And they put on this beautiful event. So it was the first cruise I've been on since we are now free and vaccinated and ready to go out. So they had a huge boat, one of those huge cruising boats on the harbor, 3 levels. And we all came in and they just blessed us with this beautiful food, entertainment. We danced and and it was just so refreshing to meet everyone. And I didn't take that many videos and stuff, and I do have other people's footages, but I only had one that I took on my phone that I wanted to share, which is this one. And that was just me afterwards with because it was storming, right? It was raining. So that was me with my cousins. So these are two relatives of mine that I just got to know really well
Wow.
because I'm not always around and I'm not always at family events and so forth. So my cousin was sitting with us. This is my tavale, by the way. So she's a close relative, right? And I said, "Hey, you look familiar," and so forth. And then she said, "I'm just gonna let you know I am so and so and so." And I said, "I've heard of you, but I've never actually remember meeting you properly." So we spent the night talking and catching up, and that's my connection to Namatakula, the football blood in Namatakula, Nandronga, and it was just great to catch up with her and get to know her. And then she introduced me to other cousins and that. But we just had a great night. And so thank you to World Compassion for the great work that they do. And we were there. They blessed us with that. So we had beautiful food, beautiful entertainment. They did such a great job. So thank you to all those who made that happen. It was a great way to celebrate coming out of all this lockdown and stuff. That is what I did on Saturday. And
Beautiful. And it was
yeah.
good to see all the different parts of the Fijian community come together, right?
Yes. And you know who are really entertaining us? The Tongans, they were there in a good amount of them were there, ladies especially, and Samoan men. A lot of them were here doing the seasonal workers or labor mobility. So there's a whole bunch of them sitting on the side there, and they bought the party. They were just so much fun. They were pole dancing on. They were dancing up and down this. You know how we get in the islands, dancing up and down the stairs, doing all kinds of crazy things, dancing with the chairs. They bought the whole thing, and we just had a blast. It was a really good, fun night, great crowd. And Darling Harbour was jam packed.
Wow.
It was like pre-COVID days.
Wow.
But and there were lines everywhere because if you want to get in, this is a tip for everybody. If you want to go out anywhere that you really want to get into, pre-book. Pre-book. Make sure you got all your vaccination stuff ready because they will ask you for it. They're very tight with it. But pre-book your reservation. Otherwise, you're not going to get in everywhere. They were saying it's for pre-booked only. Sorry, you have to wait
Yeah.
in line. So just a tip there for that. But we had such a great time, a great night out there. So that was my weekend.
Wow. That's good. Good you got to get out and reconnect with the community and then also go out on the harbour, right? That's always nice to be on a boat.
You
on the
know, our
harbour.
Fijian people, they love their cruise. There is this
Yes.
thing I've always said, what is with Fijians and their cruises? We just love to cruise, right?
Yeah.
And always fundraising on a cruise ship. Like that is
Yeah.
an expensive fundraiser, right?
That was an yeah.
It is an expensive fundraiser whenever you do cruise. Like if you want to raise a lot of money, you need to do it in a hall because cruise is more. But it's great how we go, okay, we're fundraising. Yes, we'll charge more, but we also want to have a fantastic environment and have, enjoy the beautiful harbor that we're blessed to be living in and the city that we're living in. So I guess that's, the idea
Yeah.
behind that. So we love our
People
cruises.
will pay. Yeah, people will pay for it, for that
Mm.
experience.
And play dress up, right?
Yeah.
Have a
Take
big
the
night out.
photos under the harbour bridge, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
certainly
what's
was.
good to hear.
Yes. So what's happening? What else have we got happening up tonight, Trey?
Well, we had from Fiji, we had Paris, right? Who's a creative that has worked with so many people in Fiji. So we thought, we only heard part of his interview when Paris was talking about Etta, one of the Fijian singers. But then there's a second part of the interview which I wanted to share tonight. So, and it talks about a new group that Paris has been working with. So I thought we'd go to that and then we'll come back and Talanoa some more.
Sounds
Check this
good.
out. Is there another group that you've been working with or another artist?
I have a couple. One that I would like to talk about is like the Yanu Boys. I don't know whether you're familiar with the Yanu Boys.
Yeah, I've been seeing. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but I sort of like put them together. So the Yanu Boys, they're made up of 3 Itoke young men. They're all in their early 20s. There's Simone, there's Tevita, and Jerry. The first one I met was Jerry. I met him at Savuto's mom's 70th birthday. That's when Savuto introduced me to him. Like he was looking for a guitarist on that weekend, so he posted that he wanted that he was looking for a guitarist. Somebody tagged this boy. So I think they were having a conversation, and then Jerry told him like that he wanted to be an artist as well, and he said and so he said, I'm going to introduce you to my cousin. So that's how I was introduced to Jerry. And then I think 3 weeks later, I was at FIPRA when the other 2 walked in. So they walked in to come and register a song that David had written, and I was sitting there in front of I was sitting at the lobby. I'm sitting there with my laptop, working on the FIPRA Musical Awards stuff, typing away, and these 2 boys walk in, and they sit across from me, and they one of the ladies brought in the forms and was asking them questions. What do you want? What are you here for? Oh, we're here to register our song. Are you members? One of the David said, yes, I'm a member. I'm already a member. I just need to come and register. Okay, so you have to fill this form. So I'm sitting there typing away, totally trying to ignore the conversation that was happening. And then so she left, and they were I was getting a little bit irritated, that they were taking their time, in filling the form. And I was we started to get up the form and give me the form. I'll fill it for you, and then you guys can submit it. From there, after introductions, to the other boy, Simone, and then we started talking, about music and stuff. And they were asking me, oh, so can you help us? I'm yeah, I'm willing to help you guys. Let's create a thread on Facebook and then talk. So that's how we started. We created a thread. I had agreed to sort of manage them unofficially. The 2 of them, mind you. I'm talking to Jerry separately. We have our own thread. So, and this was Friday. And then on Saturday, Billy had a gig at, and he was looking for a guitarist. And Savuto suggested that he use Jerry. So Billy called me up on Saturday morning and said, can you please come and meet me at Weta and just come and sit around while I do my gig. I just need a familiar face in the crowd while I'm singing. So I said, okay, I'm coming. And I didn't realize that Jerry was also gonna be there. So I met Jerry. I walked in, I saw Jerry, and I was like, okay. And we were sitting before the gig started, and then I was talking to Jerry. And I was like, hey, by the way, I keep forgetting to ask you, which school did you go to? and how old are you? And they said like, oh, I am 20. And what school did you go to? Oh, I went to Lilin. And I was like, oh wait, I just met two boys too, like yesterday. And this was Saturday, and I met them the previous day, the other two the previous day. And I'm like, I met these two boys yesterday, and they said like they're from the same school, and they are on the same age. And he goes like, oh, that must be Tevita and Simon. It's like, yes, yes. Do you know each other? I'm like, yes, we went to school together. We were in the same lot, working with them on the group. And he said like, oh, can I please like join the group? Like, okay, you can join the group, but you are going to ask them. You're going to find them on Facebook. You're going to add them as a friend, and then you're going to ask them yourself that, you know, if you could be a Sunday, come Sunday, who got added into the thread by Tevita Jerry. So, okay. So now I have a cheer boy band to look after. So like it was easier to like, instead of like having to work on two different brands, like, you know, it just organically happened for them. And then, yeah. So now I just don't have to deal with two different brands. I just have to work on one. That's how they started.
And it just all came together
Yeah.
naturally, like it was supposed to happen, right?
I told him like, I'm not going to force the boys to like, to take you in. Like, I want you to approach them yourself and then ask them, like, you know, because like, that's one thing I realized about like groups, you know, the bond and the relationship, you know, it's not as easy as like looking after solo artists, because you're just dealing with one person. Like with a group, you're dealing with different people with different personalities. So like, you know, it's very important that they have like this, they have chemistry and they have a bond that is not easy to, you know, like break.
So true.
Yeah, so that's how the Yano boys, yeah. So how we named them, like how we came up with the name of the group. I had asked them like, okay, so what do you want to be known as? What's gonna be the name of your group? And then they said like, they already had a name. They said like, oh, we want to be called this name, Wanilamike something. And I'm like, no, you need, you know, you need a name that's gonna be easy for the, you know, for that boy in the Japanese boy in Tokyo to be able to pronounce, for that, you know, that boy, that American boy in California to be able to pronounce as well. So like, you know, you need to find a name that looks good on typography, like, you know, on the cover of, on your artworks and stuff like that. It's not just about like wanting to be called this and that. No, you have to like, you know, like it's a brand. You know, your name is your brand. So you need to put a little bit more thought and creativity into the process of coming up with the brand. So yeah, so and then they were thinking, and they're like, because two of the boys are from Lomaiviti and one boy is from Lao. And because they call each other Yano, because, you know, they're from the island. Yeah, but they call each other like Lao and Lomaiviti, they call each other Yano. And they were like, because we call each other Yano, why don't we just call ourselves Yano Brothers? And I'm like, I like the name, but drop the brothers, replace it with boys with a Z. And voila, that's how we came up with the name Yano Boys.
How beautiful is that story?
That can only happen in the islands, right?
It can only happen.
Yano Boys. And by the way, we are going to share some of, if you've not heard of Yano Boys yet, we will share you some of their music at the end of tonight's show. So that was great.
Do you know why they themselves Yanu? Like he was saying, people from Lomaiviti and Lalgud, they refer to each other. Have you heard that? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, you normally will call that if you're from one island and you're talking about another island, because it's Yanu Yanu. You know, if you're from the Yanu Yanu, you'll call each other in short. It's just like a kind of an urban, yeah, it's now a modern way of saying, hey, Yanu, you know, just like we have Tikina and we will say chicks.
Wow.
You kind of have those abbreviations and so forth going on. So those from one island will have a different relationship and different names to other islanders within the islands, huh?
Yeah, so I guess because there's the main islands and then there's the outer islands, right? So the
Yes.
outer islanders would refer to each other as Yanu, Yanu Yanu.
Yes.
So this is the group. This is their new artwork, and Paris and his creative crew are a part of this. But isn't that amazing?
Love the artwork. That's
Yeah.
great.
So I think it's a new era for Fiji music. When you see artwork like this and the concept, and Paris, he's behind all of that stuff. And he's got a creative team as well. He mentioned Ash and another gentleman, that was involved in the last shoot with Etta. But Serenade is the platform where people can go and buy music from on VeiTalanoa, VeiTalanoa. So VeiTalanoa, they sell Fiji music and a lot of goods from Fiji. So, like we always say, please do support our Fijian musicians. And
Yeah.
actually, someone else was saying we should support our Fiji musicians here in Sydney. So, as we move into summer, we look at interviewing some of our artists here in Sydney. And maybe you guys can give us some ideas. Who should we speak to here in Sydney? Let us know who you want us to talk to. So, yeah, I thought that was a good piece. And then Paris is a genius, I love what Paris does.
And because he does things so easily, it looks so effortless, right? Maybe not easily. He makes it look effortless, but he does amazing work, and he's creative. His creative work is incredible. Involved in so many things that people, wouldn't even that have seen a lot of work, but don't know that he's actually behind some of those artists, some of those creative ideas, and whether it's been fashion or in music and so forth. So thank you, Paris, for that conversation, and we expect to see more of Paris as well in the coming episodes of VeiTalanoa in different ways as well, because it's such a knowledge base for these and emerging artists and so forth, right, Trey?
So true.
Yes, so we can share more on that. We'll share some of the music afterwards. Now, a few things that we want to still talk about, Trey, is shall I talk about that first, or we'll save that till later, or you want to talk about?
Oh, no, we can talk about it, but we should say hello to our friend Mosese. He says,
Mosese,
hello.
Which Moses is that? Where is he from?
Your best friend.
Is he from Fiji?
Kaivarata, up in Queensland.
His name is a dead giveaway, isn't it? Tamani Kaivarata. Wow.
Just in case you weren't sure where he was from.
That's right. Moses, that can be like Tamani Kaivarata, as in the way of such a big Kaivarata, right? Sa Tamani Kaivarata.
Yeah.
I've got the microphone, Moses, so there you go. You're gonna have to try and do your best to respond to that on the chat.
Yes.
Now, Trey, yes, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was, of course, now that Australia is, it's high 80s for vaccination. What happened?
No, Mosese, I knew he was going to come back with something. He was like, Sevu Wanga's hair continues to amaze the Queensland audience.
I can't see it. Where's this chat? Where does that appear?
It's in the chat on the right-hand side. Don't worry. And can SW please share with the audience his secret? You're lucky you didn't come in earlier, Mosese. You would have heard more of the secret this morning. Come in earlier in the show.
All right, Mosese, we'll do a deal. You share the secret of your hair and I'll share the secret of mine. How's that? You show me yours and I'll show you mine.
We'll see what he says. But anyway, back to more serious things.
I think he's might be the the Kaikoso, swimming in the rivers, the Rail River, or maybe some of those waters and um, or who knows? Maybe he'll tell us something amazing like that, that has to do with Cape Costa. So we'll see.
He will tell us. And then after he tells us his, you can tell us yours.
Yes, I'm happy to share to you about mine. Yeah.
But Sevu, you were saying that you were out and about, right? And we're still coming out of that COVID phases,
Yes.
right? So
Exactly. So we're over 80%, as we know, on double vaccine in Australia. We've got the 15 plus years old added to that list. And then they're still, finalizing as far as bringing it to the lower age groups because of the dosages and so forth. But then we've now got in New South Wales, we're over 90%, right? We're at 94% first dose and over 90% double dose, right? So we're highly amazing as far as that. Fiji as well, by the way, everyone, is over 90% double dose as well as a country. So well done to Fiji. Some of you might have seen the reports coming out, the struggle with Melanesian countries, right, in the Pacific. So lagging behind is the Solomons, is Vanuatu, still low vaccination rate. So Fiji is really driving the high vaccination rate, and Papua New Guinea is way, way, way behind. They're really low percentage, and yeah, it's really scary there. I don't know what they're going to do there. There's a lot of them that don't want to get vaccinated there, and so forth. So I'm just really, they still struggle with tuberculosis, and which has been eradicated from most of the world, and so it's really challenging, and especially as well the land masses where they've got, it's such a big land mass and a lot of different groups of different languages, and they're separated by vast amounts of land. So being able to actually go in and do all those sort of work is going to be quite challenging, right? Again, adding to that, and you've got 8 million plus people, biggest population in the Pacific, right? So it's huge challenge there. But I just wanted to share about the continuing to do the oh man, look at that beat. Continuing to share some of that. I'll turn it down a little bit. I'm continuing to share do a lot of work around the vaccination messaging and the translation into Fijian for the government. And anyway, one of the interesting things that I just wanted to share about was the booster that's coming out. So that is available already for anyone from the age of 18. So may tengo may nambag ka wala ko dake era redula na booster. So the booster is in addition to the 2 doses that you would get. And the one that is recommended is the Pfizer, right? So they're the ones that are being pushed, is Pfizer and Moderna. And, there's a lot of communications coming out now about for women who are wanting to be pregnant, planning to be pregnant, for those who are pregnant, and for those who are breastfeeding. And what they're doing at the moment is the messaging is that those boosters or those vaccines are designed for women, pregnant women, and it does not get in the way of whether you are trying to be pregnant, are pregnant, or breastfeeding. So any of those, it's actually safe to have those vaccines, but see your doctor about that and get some consultation and advice around that. But basically, we're now going into the phase of booster. And that should begin for normal people, unless if you're immune compromised or have other medical conditions. For everybody else, 18 years plus, after 6 months after their second dose, they can receive a booster, and you can just book online, and they're opening up clinics and everything. Pharmacies and so forth, where you can go and get your booster shot. So that seems to be the messaging that's coming out now, strongly now. So wanted to just share that with everyone as we continue to roll that out. And we'll share in the coming weeks as well about where you can book, websites, all those sort of things. But translation services are there as well. Wir nander sangan ni matau sochi na vossa vavalani se vossa vapertania chico talanga na vokande vokoviti na vivu kana vokande vokoviti. So translation in Fijian services are available. There's a number on there. All this is being translated into 72 languages, available online. All of the documents around Q&A for COVID vaccination, really a lot of detail around the types of blood disease or disorder that can be impacted by that. So there's a lot of that. So it's really interesting to see the messaging that's being put forth and really being very quite transparent from what I can see. You know, before they were sort of concerned about how much info is put out, how it could be taken by people and so forth, you know, and especially when you're talking to the masses, you got to be really careful about how it comes through and not misinterpreted. And so it's really interesting to see how all of this is really coming out in a very transparent way. So you'll see those uploads onto the government website coming up in the next few weeks that really speaks to a lot of that. And really they're trying to address all the conspiracy theories, all the concerns, all the health concerns, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of information coming out. So if you have any questions, let us know. I wanted to share about that because I've been, you know, working on that translation and sort of knowing what kind of messaging that the government is going to put out now and the focus that they have on the 72 ethnic groups within Australia that is important for them to get the message out to. And we are part of that group.
Thank you so much for doing that. I know it's not easy, right? You know, because you have to understand what the medical information is and then try and find the Fijian translations. And it's not a direct translation, right? We've got to look at the grammar and then how it's comprehended. So it's not a straight through translation, lots of layers. So
yes, translation and interpretation weaved in together because our language is quite limited, you know. So the company that is looking after these projects have come to me with this last one, and because there were such big, long scientific medical terms, and they want me to be able to break that down. And I said, if I have to break that word down, it can lose its meaning. And, you know, these are legal documents because you're advising the public. This is general public health information. So you can't play around with it. Like I have to ensure that the language I use is spot on, you know, is really hitting the mark and not, you know, not getting lost in translation, which is what can happen. So that's been interesting. So at times they would say, hey, why don't you, can you translate these further? And I said, no. You know, how do you translate that particular blood disease? You know, a scientific term that you have to translate from the English, from the word into basic English for people alone to understand, let alone taking that word and putting it in another language that has no connection, you know, it's not built that way. So
yeah, it doesn't have those words in the language to break down. Yeah, it's not that detailed, right?
Absolutely. And it's so time consuming and brain numbing. The process of trying to do it is just quite intense. And sometimes I just want to go, okay, I'm not doing this, but then I'm doing it because, you know, at least it's what I can do to also help get the information out to our people. Because there's still quite a bit of our people, Pacific people. I heard on the weekend as well, you know, the large portion of our Fiji community, it's okay that is, that are still not vaccinated. And look, I understand why, but I just hope that information would get out to them, that they would be having this conversation with, you know, with doctors and health specialists to get the right information and not just listening to to
Facebook.
somebody on Facebook. They are
Yeah.
not the expert or your neighbor. Go see a qualified, go see a doctor and ask them about your situation. And
Yes.
by the way, all the vaccination is free, the testing is free, the boosters are free. Esingisomi, esoluwalo.
How about
So
the
go out.
translator?
The translator not free.
Big
The,
money, big
the,
paisa.
the translator not enough pay, because this thing is very much vakamosi ngabo kavoka vakamosi ulu.
But you do it for the love, so thank you. And it's important work.
Thank you. But I got to tell you something. One thing that has happened, I was telling you on the other show that I spent 19 hours. Remember that? I did a huge turnaround of documents that I spent 3 days. And one of those 3 days, I spent 19 hours on these documents, right? Because you have deadlines to meet. And I wasn't feeling well. But one thing that I did learn about it is my ability. Like for me, it was a challenge, a game that I was playing about uh, um, persevering and pushing through some of those things. But I tell you what, it's helped to polish up my Fijian. Really, it's been fantastic for that. So having to write Fijian, like I can speak well, pretty much, but to actually write it is a different story, right? Because you got to word it in such a way, and then when you got to translate and interpret, whoa, you really got to sharpen your tools. So for me, these last few months have really taught me to use proper Fijian grammar and how it's translated, and the terms that I use, and expanding and pulling out words that I've forgotten, how to use them, and then going to my brother who speaks well, my two brothers who speak amazing in Fijian. They studied it while I didn't, and mom as well. A retired health worker, so getting her knowledge as to how do you talk about this, how do you talk about immune compromised, how do you talk about sterility and infertility, how do you talk about these things in the Fijian language in a way that is not seen as swear words or rude words and stuff like that, and how do you bring it across? So it was very interesting. So I'm grateful for that learning. That was the prize that I got out of it, Trey. Anyway, and we wanted to talk about, Trey, the elections, voting.
Yes, that's right. So elections are coming up, December 4th. And I saw today that pre-polling has already started. So if people want to vote, they can go to their different community centers to vote. So I saw that online. But for those, you can also vote online as well. And you could still do the postal vote. So people go to the New South Wales Electoral Commission website,
which is called www.elections.nsw.gov.au.
That's the one. So yes,
It's got all the links from there.
And over the years, I have seen people from Fiji run for local elections. I'm not sure who's running this year. I only know one Pacific person, who's running in the Sydney electorate, Imelda Davis, who she'll be running with Clover Moore. But if there's any gang from home that's running in these elections, please contact us. We would contact your local councillors or people that are running in your area and just tell them, I'm a Fijian person, Pacific person, I'm interested in this, let's get involved so that things improve for us and all our communities. This is important for us to have our say.
That's true. Absolutely. And it's important to be involved. This is it's our duty, but it is also, the power is in the voters' hands. So we need to use that power and put the right people in place that can actually speak on our behalf, that represent who you are. That's the importance of it. So get to know who your politicians are and speak to them about what it is that concerns you. If you're not going to be involved in that yourself, but at least get to know who they are on a local level, and how they'll be able to support you. Because given this, okay, let me just give an example. Can I, Trey? So we're talking about help to our Pacific communities, right? During the time of COVID, you all know what happened. You all know what went down. You know how southwestern Sydney was impacted, and
Southwest, Western Sydney, like
exactly.
just all throughout Western Sydney.
Right. So there was just an impacting a lot of Pacific people, especially. Now, because of the lack of representation that we have to the powers that be, right? We've not done enough groundwork. Yes, we have certain organizations, but we were now reacting to a situation that was impacting our community drastically, right? So moving forward, when we talk about these disasters, when we talk about pandemic, when we talk about something that impacts our community, we need to have people who actually represent us, who understand and can be there for us. Because what happens then is the slice that we get out of, let's say, the government adds funding to, for example, the Multicultural New South Wales, and we have had meetings about this. Multicultural New South Wales then takes that money and then divides it to the community, right? And then our community can apply for a grant, whoever may get a grant, and the amount that was given, I will have to say, was dismal compared to what we had done on the ground voluntarily. And our community leaders went out and they did the hard work. And I want to thank them and acknowledge them all for their hard work in supporting our people. But I can tell you that as far as the government and how it supported a lot of that from the ways that we would require it, it wasn't present. It wasn't there. And so our people were not, the messages were not reaching them. The information that was critical, the support that they needed, that was critical, was also not there. So there was a lot of gaps. And that means that there's a lot of need there for funding to be applied to. And we just didn't have the funding support, even now, to cater for those needs, you know? And so having our people sitting on those tables, negotiating and moving forward, that we put this in place so that we don't go through this kind of stuff again, that we're not caught in this again, you know? When there's millions and millions and millions being poured in, right? And don't forget, where does those millions come from? That's not the government's money. That's taxpayers' money. It is you as a worker, you worked, and those monies are piling up. But guess what happens? When they slice that pie, did you get your share that you were supposed to in the time of crisis, in the time of need? That is the question that you can answer. And therefore, we need to be involved in these systems. We need to support each other in it collectively. You know, let's start to build this up together so that we can be able to do more for our people in times of crisis, in times of need. Anyway, I get off on my soapbox on that, Trey, but I just wanted to mention that's why voting is important.
You know, the elections will come around again in a couple of years or so.
Yeah.
You could be our man. We'll talk off camera.
Not just me. I want people out there. I'm planting the seed. Like, we've all got to get involved.
I've already got two
Trey.
people that I'm already working with and preparing for the next elections. But from now on, when I spot it, I'm going to put my hand up and say, I'm going to help you and volunteer. What do you need?
Amen to that. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Support each other to get not only a seat at that table, to be at the center of the table. Can we get the table and the chair? How about we get the room? Let's get the rights and the lease.
Come on.
All of that.
You know?
But
listen, don't give us a little small piece of the pie and here we are fighting over crumbs. No, we're not going to do that. We want to be equal to in the process and be sitting at that table. Thank you, Trey. That is so true. And anybody who does want to get involved, I'm here, Trey's here. We're happy to support you in your political journey and you know, network and share whatever resources we have to get you there.
Amen.
Seriously.
Amen.
Because we need more of us, not just the 2 of us or 5 of us. We need more. Amen.
Amen. And you know, you were talking about community leaders doing the work. You know, I just want to acknowledge our colleague, you know, our sister Mary Jane, and Matavai Pacific Arts, they're one of the orgs
There's
that,
one.
and, follow their
Frontline.
page. They're always sharing information, and we have our show on Thursdays, Oceania too. And of course, the New South Wales Council, they're the peak body for Pacific communities,
Yes,
doing the best they can with what they
exactly.
have,
With
out
what they
there.
have.
Ain't easy. It ain't
That's
easy.
right. We want to acknowledge those leaders, Mel, especially that we've been working with, she has just been running around, and this is voluntary. This is what I'm saying. They should be being paid for this work, and there should be more there that's supporting them to do those work, shouldn't be coming out of everybody else's pockets. It shouldn't be donations that's driving it. Yeah, we're going to give because we can, or give sacrificially. But man, when it's time of these situations, the money is there. Government is allocating it. When you're allocating millions, and we're one of those 72, right? Actually, and then we come up on the list as one of the priority lists. And a lot of our people are in this working group and in this profile of those people that are putting food on our tables, right? Driving the trucks, working in construction,
The
frontline
essential
workers.
workers,
These essential workers are made up of a lot of our people. And when they're down and their family goes down, where is the support there
For them.
as well that they need, And
Us.
we are all taxpayers. So when you slice that cake, we want our slice. We don't want to be fighting over crumbs.
Amen.
And for us to be grateful over the crumbs, no, we ain't doing that anymore.
Amen. And we have to speak up. I just want to acknowledge Street University, who I work with as well, Monday and Thursday. So they provide services for young people, especially young people who have been impacted by COVID. So, if you know any young person that has, most of us have been impacted by COVID, but if you've got young people that need support, please contact us here on the show, on our Fiji Day Sydney page, and then we'll help assist you, because there's funds out here to assist with our young people, to get them through. And it's not just food hampers, educational needs, helping them get back to work, all of that stuff. So contact us. This stuff takes time.
Yeah.
We look forward to assisting. Wow.
Yes, and for those who are listening out there, if you're passionate about something that you are doing, that you're doing great work in the community, or something that you're really passionate about that helps the community, inbox us, Maybe we can find those grants. Maybe we can work together on how we build that, This is about all this capacity building that we can do, because we've been doing this for a long time. We may look like haven't done this for a long time, but we've been here for a very long time. Well, maybe not Trey. She's been here for a long time. I've been here for a very long time.
Very, very, very. Me too, very, very.
Very long time. We started when we were 5 years old. Now, the point is that, we want to help the community as well do other things. And if you know us with the work that we do, it's not about us. We want to reach out, which is why we're doing these shows, and this is now episode 15, right? So inbox us if you've got some ideas and things that you want to share, things that you think we should be talking about, things that are concerning. We will be discussing it, and this is why we're going to continue. We're thinking about whether we should end this, and we thought, no, let's continue this and continue to shush, Loami, shush. Don't tell them, girl. Don't tell them how long.
Hello.
You're not able to tell them how long.
And Tale Taki says true's up. So, to what you're saying.
So we just need to support each other and help each other on this journey. Now it's already 8:30, Miss MC Trey. We got to go. Last words before we put on some music by Yanu Boys to
Yanu
go out.
Boys. Yeah, just, always good to come here and Talanoa and to share our knowledge and our experiences. And I just wanted to say, everyone out there, take care of yourselves. COVID's still out there. Just be mindful of us. We've got to protect our elders and those that are, more vulnerable in our community, and, enjoy the beautiful rainy days that are coming. Actually, can I just quickly show you this picture? Sorry, let me just quickly show you this. So I saw this online from the Durra Custodian Aboriginal Corporation, and they said, our people know that it's going to be a cooler, wetter summer if the emus lay their eggs continuously throughout the summer months. So that's been happening. The emus have been laying throughout summer and laying more eggs, which is an indication that our summer is going to be wet. There's going to be a lot of rain and there's going to be a lot of flooding, you know. So I thought very interesting, and I want us to share, you know, some of the information and the knowledge of our First Nations people, you know, here, just like we have our indicators back at home in the island. So, you know, always paying respects to the First Nations people. So very, very interesting. So be prepared, people, as we can already see, it's not the summer that we thought we were going to have. We're going to have extremes. So, you know, let us be mindful of the climate changes. And, you know, for me, that's one thing I'm going to be raising with my electorate, with the woman that's running for elections in my area. Because I've already messaged and told her climate change is one of my top priorities. But over to you. Take care. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Modemanda and God bless. Over to you, Seb.
Trey. And to everyone out there, thank you for listening in and tuning in. Excuse me again for our number, Tinikalima, 15 VeiTalanoa. So we won't be on next week, but there's many episodes if you want to rewatch any of it or share it. And we'll be doing the Oceania 2 on Thursday next week. Also streaming out of the Fiji Day page. But we will see you the following week on VeiTalanoa. A big, Sylvia Combs, Bulavinaka. Hope you're doing well there in Victoria. We got to have her on.
We do.
I mean, Victoria. Sylvia, we've got to have you on from Victoria soon.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll arrange it. Love to hear what's happening down there.
Work. Yep, in Victoria.
Yes. So now we're going to leave you with some. And Uli, look, everybody's just coming in.
Uli, happy belated birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Uli. Looking forward to seeing Uli as well. Now, so we're leaving you now. We've gone over time. We're leaving you with this song. Thank you so much for listening in. We wish you a wonderful, safe week as we're coming out and growing and expanding out of this into this season. And Vinagabagalevu and Nisa Mother, and here's a song from the Yanu boys from Fiji. Mother Manda.
Mother.
Seven no retreat, no surrender. That's the message of the sender. No BS and no